I'm not gonna lie, I've spent way longer than I should have trying to figure out how to approach this video. I love stealth games, or games that incorporate stealth as a way of completing your mission. Having to carefully plan out your objectives, or in some cases, think on the fly, all while having to stay undetected was always so satisfying. And so I decided to return to not only my first series of stealth games, but my favorite as well, Sly Cooper. And after completing the series, I just had to sit back, because I almost fell out of my chair. But I also had to really sit and think. Why did I like the second game so much? You would think later games in the series would be better than the second installment, but to me it's not. So come along, fellow thieves, as we run, steal, and avoid in-depth critical analysis on why Sly 2 is the best in the series. Now, in order to talk about how good the second game absolutely was, we gotta first go back and talk about the first game. You see, Sly Cooper and the Thingus Harakamadookus released in 2002 as a bit of a platformer with a dash of stealth in the mix. The game follows our totally not tweaked out protagonist, Sly Cooper, who as a child was visited by the Make-A-Wish Foundation to fulfill his dream of becoming Batman, and well...
And I wound up in an orphanage.
It was soon after that he made friends out of a smart turtle named Bentley and a large hippo named Murray. And though they were never adopted, they would soon form the most infamous, dare I say, Band of Thieves the world has ever seen. Also, Sly has a bit of a love interest, aptly known as Inspector Carmelita Fox, who I suspect is actually just a skinwalker because she keeps changing her voice every game.
Which reminds me, you need to return the Firestone of India to its rightful owners.
Hey, criminal! You doing okay in there? I know it's tight, but you won't get shocked if you hold still.
Then let's spend some quality time together in my interrogation cell.
Only when I'm trying to catch you. But I find Galeth charming. He has a good heart, even if he is a headstrong goof.
Now, the gameplay itself is pretty straightforward. You'll mainly just be jumping and hitting the circle button a bunch of times until you get to the end of the level, where you'll then pick up a large key. Not that kind of key. Then you have other levels that I'm just gonna call minigame levels, since they break the traditions of jump and hit the circle button until you get to the end. These levels include things like racing, chumming up a bunch of piranhas and then turning their body oils into fuel so you can ignite tiki torches and unlock a gate. And of course, helping a ghost kill a bunch of chickens so he can make his gumbo. What is this, the state of Louisiana? There's nothing really standing in between you and these keys except guards. Not environmental hazards, because they don't have legs. Once you have all of the keys, you can return to the boss gateway mechanism thingy and steal back your pages from your thief bible, and then that repeats itself. Now there's one thing I want to quickly talk about that makes the Sly games, the Sly games. Can you take a guess? I'll give you a clue. Bottle. Throughout the many levels, you'll come across these vaults. In them, you'll find pages of Sly's irrelevant ancestors that can teach you new techniques and tricks, such as like picking up coins from further distance, learning how to swim, or defying f***ing gravity. How these guys weren't considered gods by this point is beyond me. Now, in order to unlock these vaults, you have to find these clue bottles that are scattered around, and unless you have the eye of 1,000 eagles, good luck. These some bitches are scattered everywhere. Did you get all that? Great, we're moving on. No, I do not care if you did not finish copying the slide. We have a lot to do and we have not a lot of time. If you did not finish copying the notes, ask to borrow them from one of your peers. Now that the history lesson is over, I think we can finally talk about the real meat and potatoes of this conversation. You see, Band of Thieves released only 2 years after the first game, and with it came a slew of new changes that pretty much set the standard moving forward. Let me draw you a picture. Here you go, put it on your fridge. Let me paint a little light on this. Sly 1 levels work as such. It usually started off with a sort of basic tutorial on how to jump and hit the circle button, and later levels will be trying to get you acquainted with a brand new move you unlocked from the prior boss. From here we transition to the hub world, where we take on the aforementioned levels that I talked about earlier. And finally, when you're done with these, and you grabbed all the keys, you can make your way up to the boss and smash in their knees. You see, Sly 2 decided to hit the gym and raise the bar by introducing to us open worlds, and it's pretty good. Long gone are the linear style tunnels that demand you to jump from point A to point B while throwing pipes and hooks in the middle for you to maneuver through. Those have been set to specific sections of each episode. That random lamppost over there, you can climb it. That rock over there, you can scale it. Walking 2 steps in any direction you want, Okay, well you might be asking for a little too much now. But hey, at least you get to ride the train. And what better way to enjoy these explorable levels than to have 3 playable characters? Now we all know of our fast furry friend Sly. We've played with him since the beginning of the series. But have you met his friend Bentley? You see, unlike Sly, Bentley can't really handle direct confrontation, nor could he move throughout the level as swiftly. However, he does make up for this by being able to pull gadgets out of his ass, such as sleep darts, bombs, jetpacks, you know, the essentials. Later down the road, he even becomes a cripple that I can suddenly identify with. But where he shines the most are his hacking capabilities. This is something that's briefly shown off in a small segment at the end of Sly 1, but with Bentley officially out and about, he can really demonstrate these abilities with all of the terminals that are just weirdly out in the open. But that's enough about the nerd emoji, because now we get to talk about Murray. Sorry, not Murray. The Murray. I just love the big character flip they did with this guy from 1 to 2 and onwards. He essentially went from being afraid of every goon that rounded a corner to, your daughter calls me daddy, and if you disagree with this notion, I will glass your skull with my fist. Now, he may not have good climbing abilities or gadgets to throw, but that's okay, because the only thing Murray needs to throw are his hands. If you're a short guy, you've already handed over your will to live the second he hits you with a second punch. And if you're a bigger guy, you're done in 3 to 4 punches. This dude can straight fade a bear out of existence. If I have any bears in the audience, let me know. Would you rather run into a man or a Murray in the woods? And if you thought Murray couldn't get any more insane, I have a leading theory that this guy straight up laced his hands with thermite so we could set them on fire. And what's the Cooper gain without their cool gadgets? I made a brief mention in the Thievius Gooness section about you learning new techniques, mostly just passive abilities from Sly's unheard of ancestors. Well, in addition to all of that, there's also a bunch of moves and gadgets like rolling in a ball, throwing out decoys, and the fabled hat mine. Hashtag bring back hat mine. But only 2 years later, the devs at Sucker Punch decided to literally sucker punch us when they chose to redo the gadget system. Now, instead of scrolling through each gadget to find the one you want, you can just simply pull up a menu and select up to 3 different gadgets to use whenever necessary. This would also change how coins operate, where instead of collecting up to 100 to increase your lives or give you a charm, you can carry and save them up to purchase more gadgets and power-ups. Some of these power-ups are even locked behind vaults, which means
a new hand touches the beacon.
Clue bottles are back. Now, fellow viewer that stumbled across this video somehow, you're probably wondering, how do we make enough to afford such expensive tools? And to that I say, mind your own goddamn business. Back during Sly 1 and the Blooper saga, guards would play a big role of guarding. You can find them anywhere from hallways, rooftops, or just sitting on random rocks. The thing is though, guards didn't really feel like guards. They felt more like a fence you could jump over, but you ran the risk of the fence stabbing you while you tried. One hit from either one of you and you're getting captured by a soldier. But here comes Band of Thieves ready to take us away with brand new changes, including one of the best ones of all. A health bar. Goodness me, was I tired of being sneezed on and dying. In this game, guards have a few different attacks depending on what weapons they wield, while others are carrying literal megaphones so they can call in for backup. They're even given a sort of wake-up attack after you knock them back, so you can't just stun lock them in fights. You're probably thinking, wow, these guys aren't that much of a threat, and you'd be right, because the real threat are the flashlight guards. Unlike their predecessors, the flashlight guards have given up the ancient art of heat-seeking projectiles in favor of a more health-based approach. They have more health. Because of this and Big Scary Gun, you are generally encouraged to stay away from them. Or are you? Another great mechanic debuting in this game is pickpocketing. That's right, a lot of your money is coming right out of other people's wallets. You feel bad about yourself now? You sick bastard? Stealing from other people that are just trying to make ends meet? You feel good about yourself? This guy had a family, and you're just gonna take his money? Now, it may not seem like much at first, but pretty early on you'll start coming across shiny pockets where guards are just casually strolling around with gold pens, watches, and even combs. Bro's out here on a leisurely stroll with a diamond up his ass, no big deal. I can't tell you how many times I would be out doing whatever and I'd just spot one of these pockets in my peripheral and just One last thing I want to quickly touch on in regards to the guards is the stealth that I will now explain using Call of Duty perks. In Sly 1, Slingus Bingus forgot to equip Dead Silence and mistakenly took Extreme Conditioning, while the majority of the goons all rocked Awareness and always had a score streak up.
Be advised, hostile orbital VSAT online.
Whereas in Sly 2, and onward, Sloopus Coopus added Dead Silence to their loadout while the guards removed Awareness altogether. What's that? Why would you play as anybody else when Sly has all the cool things? I was asking if you saw who took my food out of the break room. I'm glad you asked. Dick. Now, if you'll please refer to your notes on Doofus Doofus 1 for a moment, you'll probably remember me mention how you needed keys to progress through a level. We'll throw all of that out the window because we do not need that no more. Times have changed, and so has progressing through levels with the new addition called Jobs. Or missions, whatever you want to call it. If I say one or the other, you'll know what I mean. A lot of these jobs can vary from doing simple reconnaissance to pulling a Cardi B move by drugging the enemy and then stealing their blueprints, to competing in an RC combat tournament while undercover. Chat, is this racist? Both Sly 2 and 3 work on a sort of act system. Throughout each level, you will have a prologue, an Act 1, an Act 2, and then an Act 3. For Sly 2 specifically, the prologue or intro job to the level would be you doing some basic level reconnaissance, like taking photos of who or what you'll be up against. Acts 1 and 2 have us doing a bunch of smaller setup jobs that snowball into Act 3, where we then pull off the main heist of the episode, where we go for the main objective. In between these acts are these small little cutscenes where Bentley lays out the jobs and explains the significance of it while flipping through different slides and writing on them with a little marker. I feel old. With all that's been said, you can kind of start to see how Sly 2 greatly raised expectations for the series moving forward. Did the other games meet those expectations? I mean, you kind of read the title of the video. And what better way to start this section off than to start with the least popular of the two sequels, Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. Little fun fact, this was my first ever pre-ordered game. I remember hearing about it from one of those Game Informer magazines that would spawn in my mailbox at least twice a month. Now, like your bowels after a sip of coffee, shit was already brewing since instead of Sucker Punch weren't developing their sweet baby Sly Cooper anymore, it was instead being handed off to another studio, Sanzar Games, where their projects at the time consisted of a party game for the Wii, a PS2 port of Agent Clank, and an HD remaster collection of these three games. My god. Kill me. Oh, come on, just give him a chance. It can't be that bad. I'm gonna stop you right there. Exhibit A. Ancestry.com. In each of the games, you get a brief mention of Sly's ancestors and how great they were. Hell, you go through an entire vault listening to Sly glaze over them.
Tennessee Kid Cooper learned to slide along railroad tracks in the Old West.
And Thieves in Time was no different, except a big part of the game is that you actually get to meet and hang out with these ancestors. Unfortunately, after 5 to 10 minutes of playing as each ancestor, the novelty wears off and you quickly realize they're kind of underwhelming. Seriously, they're just Sly, with a gimmick. Ryuichi can jump far, Salim can climb fast, Tennessee can harness the power of John Marston and use Deadeye. This is the coolest one. Take that away and they're no different than this little blue critter over here. Wait, it's all Sly? Always has been. Also, all of these ancestors, and we get Bob. Really? You guys looked at all of these ancestors, and you thought, Bob. Really? No Otto, no Henriette? No Sly? Not even Sly and Common, the first trooper that started the Thievius Raccoonus itself that's been passed down from generation to generation? But no, let's create a caveman trooper named Bob. Okay. Exhibit 2. Gadgets. And other upgrades and power-ups. Thieves in Time takes the gadget system that we've known and loved into a slaughterhouse and basically just murders it. Guttural Roar? No. Clothesline. Health Extractor? No. Kit Bomb. Talking Tom? Hey! No, here's another upgrade for you to run while using your charge attacks, because we all know you love using these charge attacks. In series past, we had a lot of these weird yet cool little gadgets and abilities we could buy that were just simply fun to use. However, in Thieves in Time, a lot of the purchasable gadgets and abilities are just kind of boring and forgettable. Like me. Like, Sly's only gadgets are just his paraglider and smoke bomb, which is practically useless until you get halfway through the game, where you can just purchase the flash bomb later and... His other purchasable moves are either upgrades to his movement like rail sprint, silent sprinting, and moving while pickpocketing, and add-ons and upgrades to his charge attack. Which, two things. One, we've had charge attacks in the past. One was admittedly also pretty lame, and the other was actually fun and useful. And two, I wouldn't necessarily be against this if it didn't come at the cost of his other cool stuff like thief reflexes or turning invisible. Seriously, you want me to take this over this? I'm good. And what's more is this whole thing carries over to Bentley and Murray as well. Bentley can purchase his adrenaline burst once again and even buy an upgrade that makes it last longer. He can even buy an upgrade to his jetpack that allows him to burn whatever's underneath him. But why are the majority of his power-ups geared towards his bombs and darts? Like, homing darts, cool. Being able to kick a bomb away, cool. But where's his grapple cam? Where's the health extractor at? Where's his insanity strike? Where's the size reduction? Well, I can actually tell you where the last two went. They're now also bombs and darts. I always thought the size destabilizer in 2 and 3 were great to have for Bentley in case a guard confronted him up close. But now you gotta wait until they step into the vicinity of one of your bombs or whip out your binoculars and try to snipe them while they're trying to attack you. And the same could be said about Insanity Strike. Being able to whack guards and turn them against each other to help you even the odds. Oh wait, that was slide 3. Here, it's what's known as confusion. Basically, it confuses the player as to why this game was ever made. It confuses the guards and has them running around aimlessly, scared for their life. And no, they do not fight each other. You also get the explosive, zap, and fabled sleep darts, but I'm pretty sure I don't need to go into the details on those. Ugh, Murray suffers from the same thing as the last two. More damage properties for his fist, moves that you're probably never gonna remember. And you know, it wouldn't even be as bad if they gave you at least a gadgets menu, a proper menu. But no, we don't even get that. We get this instead. So if you ever wanted to see what you have bought and purchased, you gotta go all the way back to the safe house and check the computer again.
Woke up, I look at the computer say,
oh, I'm trying to be as charitable as I can in this game, but the longer I think about it, the more it hurts. Exhibit 3. The boss fights suck. In the last few games, we've seen boss fights come in all shapes and sizes. We've had 1v1s, bullet hells, even a little gimmicks here and there. But then you pick up Sly 4, look inside, and oops, all boss fights are boring. And drag on. Let me give you a general consensus of how these boss fights work. You have to dodge all of their attacks, maybe mess with a few mechanical thingy doodads or whatever, and just wait for the boss to indicate that he's dizzy so you can walk up and whack him a few times, and then maybe a cutscene will play, and then you repeat the entire process. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up really quick. Not to mention a couple of them run away, so you gotta spend your time catching up to them. For reference, let's take a quick look at a boss fight that does something similar to this from the last game. Episode 1, Sly 3. After finishing a duet with the boss Octavio, a cutscene plays where Carmelita shows up and foils the plans of stopping him, which leads into a boat chase shootout. A cutscene plays after destroying his boat, and then another one before the second fight starts. Then you fight while dodging attacks, but you can only damage him when Tar is active on the field. Then a cutscene plays, Octavio chases you to the next area, another cutscene plays, you continue the fight, cutscene plays, end of episode. Now, two things. Firstly, there's not much downtime. Once the cutscenes at the start of the fights are done, you just get straight to it. Taking a look back at the El Jefe fight again, you get the starting cutscene, then you make your way to him where you get another cutscene, then another cutscene. Once you drain a little bit of his health, you get another cutscene, then you chase him again, drain his health, cutscene, chase him, fight him, get another cutscene, end of episode. And more importantly too, you can actually go toe to toe with the boss. You can still hit him until you knock him out, but you still have to be aware of what moves he's about to do and move accordingly. Despite all of this, I will give Sly 4 a couple of points, just because episode 4 does have some pretty cool boss fights. But now I'm going to deduct a point because for some reason, someone decided to 180 Penelope's character and make her a bad guy, even though there was no indication of her ever deciding to change. I'm baffled. I don't get it. They literally looked at Dr. M from the last game and they're like, yeah, we could do that, and then created Diet Dr. M. Why? Bentley, you and I aren't so different. We are both smart and ran with Coopers. Without you, there is no Cooper gang. Come on, Bentley. You're smarter than these guys. We can make lots of money and rule the world together. Huh? I don't know why I did the Mickey Mouse thing. But none of that compares to the absolute biggest slap in the face, no, sucker punch, followed by a Tekken-style jungle combo that this game gives you. The final boss. You guys ready for a jump scare? Check this out. Ready? 3, 2, 1, boom. Yeah, it's a quick time event. Whose idea was it to cap off a game in a series that hasn't seen a new installment in 8 years? To end the final boss as a quick time event. You know what, I'm not even gonna say anything. I'll just show unedited footage of the other game's final boss fights.
My intellect is refined. My experience is greater.
Exhibit 4. Murray. Now earlier in this video I mentioned how Murray went from being afraid of guards around every corner to being righteous, heroic, overall just very strong and not afraid of anything. And even in this game he's no different. Except in here they kinda made him more of a goofball that likes to eat a lot. But I really want to focus on one part in this game that kinda feels unnecessary. During episode 3, we did a mission where Murray volunteers to climb an ice wall to help Bentley get a doohickey thingy for the time machine. After failing, he ends up getting sidelined for the caveman Cooper, which then sends Murray into a bit of a mopey mood, where Bentley then comes in and reassures him that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses.
Murray, are you still upset about the climbing thing? Come on, it just worked out better that way. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, myself included. And trust me, we can't do anything without your might. That's why we're a team.
I guess. Well, it looks like I've got some birds to round up.
Now, on its own, it's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, the strong character feeling a sense of weakness, not being able to help. But we've kind of already gone through this arc with Murray before. Let me explain. At the end of Sly 2's episode 3, Bentley is still sitting in a crashed chopper atop a structure that he was using during the operation, while Sly is knocked unconscious by the level's boss, Rajan. Murray, being the only one available, jumps in to save his buddy, but is immediately cut off by Rajan, where we get this exchange.
Murray will renew your fear.
Who's the Murray? All I see is a fat, pathetic weakling.
I might be big and not as smart as the other guys, but one thing I'm not is weak.
Murray recognizes his weaknesses of not being smart or small, but then gasses himself up as being the strong one before murdering a Bengal tiger. Fast forward real quick to the end of Sly 2, where we see Bentley get crushed in the beak of the final boss, Clockla.
Here, she's about to explode. My glasses.
Murray jumps in to save and carry him to safety while Sly turns himself in. After this event, Murray would go on to blame himself for Bentley's injuries and prompt him to leave the gang to find his spiritual center and swear off violence until he and Bentley come face to face where we get this.
We need your help to destroy some tar drums.
I'm done with all that. I found a new path. It's full of peacefulness.
Come on, what happened to the Murray? The guy who'd get into a fist fight with 10 thugs wearing nothing but a towel. The guy who used to punch first and not bother asking questions later. Where's that guy? Where's my old friend?
I'm sorry, Bentley. I tried to save you, but I just wasn't strong enough.
Get over it, Murray. I don't blame you, and never have. The only thing I feel bad about is losing my pal.
Bentley would then get his little wheelchair tipped over, rendering him useless, and with Murray witnessing the whole thing, he changes his mind on the whole non-violence thing and beats an old man to death.
Murray! Help!
That does it! I'll floss my teeth with your spine!
may have more power. So that's it.
But hey, fat guy like food, am I right? Honestly, there's so much more we could talk about with this game, but I feel like I've made enough points to really nail home how bad of a sequel this game is from not only the second game, but the third game as well. So let's move on to that next game, shall we? Now, I want to clarify something real quick. I don't think Sly 3 is a bad game. This game is very near and dear to me as I've played it the most out of all of the games within this series, and yet I can't bring myself to put it past its predecessor. The mission and gameplay variety as well as the story are both really good. It's just that this game kind of has a few shortcomings that kind of hold the game back a little bit. And what a better place to start than the addition of new playable characters. At the beginning of the game, you're told you need extra hands to help with getting into the Cooper family vault. There's even a quick sound off from each of the characters at the start of the new playthrough that give you a small peek of what's to come.
Artillery, sure you can make that shot?
I endeavor not to miss.
Excellent. Radio control.
In position.
Recovery team. On pump. Submersibles. Showtime, baby. Telekinetics.
The fuck? Who is it? What? I should kick your fucking ass. Who is this?
The problems don't really start to rear their ugly heads until around episode 2, where we're introduced to a newcomer to the series, the Guru. This lean, mean koala machine was an absolute delight to play in this game. Straight chillin' in prison, turn into a rock. Got spotted by an enemy, turn into cheese. Thugging it on what's probably by far the biggest mission of your life, turn into a rock. Brother, you could straight turn guards into vehicles and Grand Theft Auto their souls for your transportation. How could you not like this guy? Hey, wanna know what takes the sail out of the winds? He's only available for 6 missions. But wait, because it gets worse. Because in episode 4, we get to team up with the Panda King. Yes, the Panda King from Sly 1. This guy comes packing like an artillery truck, locking onto multiple enemies before unleashing rockets all over them. Not to mention him coming prepared with a burning chop from his book of Flame Fu. And can you guess how many missions he's playable in? Go ahead, take a guess. 2. The first mission revolves around you fighting off a bunch of vampire praying mantises, while the other involves you getting into a fight with a giant sea creature, also known as Crusher. After that, he is only helpful in cutscenes. Like, everyone on the team gets at least a single job, right? Like, the Guru gets to ride sharks to destroy a magnetic buoy. Penelope gets to destroy drones to shut down radars. Bentley and Murray get to mass murder a bunch of genetic experiments before having to fend off the Doctor himself, while Sly gets to destroy turrets, shoot down bat creatures, and fight Dr. M himself twice. Hell, even Dimitri gets a boss fight underwater, and you're telling me the Panda King can't help at least shoot down some bats? Okay. I don't know, I feel like these characters could have at least been made available to free roam after completing their respective episodes, I guess. Like, I understand not making Dimitri or Penelope available since their specialties are very specific, but the Guru and the Panda King both have these little basic things like their own binoculars and icons to indicate you can use like traps. I don't know, missed opportunity really. Just like there's something else missing in this game. That's right, Sly 3 is now missing clue bottles and treasure. You know, it's almost 30 something minutes into this audio recording of mine, and I just realized I didn't even talk about treasure at all in this game, so let's go talk about that real quick. Sly 2 introduced treasure to the series, not this one. Around each map you find a few things of treasure sitting on pedestals that you can yoink up and bring back to the safe house for an extra amount of coins. Some of them have bombs on them, so you need to bring them back in time before they explode and you have to run back and pick them back up again, while others you simply just don't need to take any damage. Sly 4 brings back treasures, but they feel less like valuable treasure and more like valueless collectibles. But some of them were designed by people in the community, so that's cool. Brief lesson of treasure done. Alright, back to Sly 3. It's such a shame Honor Among Thieves doesn't have these things. You just kind of drop in, do your jobs, and skedaddle to the next level. And because bottles and treasures are gone, the only way you can get to 100% in the game is to beat the main story and these little side challenges tied to each episode that's selectable only from the menu. These aren't too bad, I guess. Most of them are just the same objectives that you've done in the main story, except now you gotta complete it before time runs out or while you're at half health. Sometimes you get some pretty unique ones like jump on 5 different guards' backs without touching the ground. My sister and I would compete against each other to see who would get the higher score, and well, I don't mean to brag, but I was the winner the last time I checked. Now, since we've checked that, let's go check out the beginning of this game. Oh, Now, if there's anything out there that could make the toughest of men cry, it would be finishing up Sly 2, the intro of Sly 3, and then seeing the Hazard Room. The Hazard Room is this game's version of a tutorial, and I gotta say, I'm not much of a fan. If you're like me, you probably put in dozens of hours into the past 2 games to the point where you see blue sparkles and you already know what to push. But if you're for whatever reason a new player to the series, you're kinda left to figure out what buttons to push to continue on with the intro, until you're then put into the tutorial. If we take a look at the past 2 games' intros, you're told to simply jump and hit the circle button anytime you see these blue sparkles. And in Sly 2 specifically, once you get to the first open world, Bentley will tell you that you can click the left analog stick to find the first mission and how to interact with things during said mission.
If you click the L3 button, press the left analog stick, I'll beam some virtual markers into your feet mask. They'll help you find your way around. If no markers are in view, use the right analog stick to move the camera and look right. I've projected holographic markers near interactive objects like this satellite dish. When you're near these markers, press the circle button to use the object.
Overall, I don't think the Hazard Room is exactly pointless. It's good for new players. It just kind of sucks that you can't skip it as a returning player, so it kind of feels monotonous and kind of takes the winds out of your sails after a great intro. Sly 3 walked so Assassin's Creed Black Flag could run. That's really all the gripes I have about Sly 3. Definitely a great addition to the series, it's just that it's missing a little bit of that extra oomph to round it out. I want to cap this video off by talking about one final thing that really pushes Sly 2 right up to the top. And it's interesting because it's done not only once in this game, but in the entire series. Allow me to introduce to you Episode 4. Jailbreak. Don't talk to me about horror unless you've played this. Resident Evil what? At the end of episode 3, we see both the Cooper gang and Chicken Carbonara placed in cuffs and are under arrest. Well, not entirely. You see, the only one that actually managed to escape all of this was Bentley. Now it's up to this little turtle to break his friends out of prison. Every episode in this game starts you out in the safe house, so here's how the first 3 levels start. And then this is level 4. Seriously, props to whoever designed this level. Here you are. A single bright green turtle in a world filled with muted colors and scary imagery. Bats and wolves patrol the rooftops while large vultures loudly patrol down below on the streets. Some of the wolves even pretend to be gargoyle statues and hide out, waiting for you to pass by. And you're expected to navigate all of this as the weakest and least agile character in the game. And the cherry on top? It's the music. Look, I've never been good at describing music, but if I was to describe this one, it's scary. They only give you this experience for like 20 minutes before you bust Sly out, and then you pretty much run through the rest of it with him, but man, those 20 minutes of just Bentley against everything is chilling. Sly 2 remains to be probably the best game in the series, with the third game almost beating it, but missing a couple of things, and the fourth game, well, also I'm heavily biased. Okay, bye.